Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. May the peace and blessings be upon you. Welcome to another episode of Sisterhood Talks. This is Nadia speaking, and today we're going to discuss a recent political topic that happened in France. So, the French government very recently banned the abaya, which is usually worn by the Muslim women, and this ban causes Muslim girls to not enter the schools. They're basically not allowed to enter the schools with an abaya. So before we get into it, I'm just going to read a few passages that I found in several newspapers around the world. And I'm going to start by defining what is an abaya. And I'm going to use the definition that the newspaper Le Monde used in their coverage of this topic. So, what is an abaya? An abaya, Arabic for toga or cloak, is an overgarment, often loose and light, worn from the shoulders to the feet. It is similar to the jalaba worn in North Africa or the kamis worn in West Africa. Although it is a women's garment, it can also be worn by men, albeit with a different cut. Though largely neutral in color, the abaya has also developed into fashion apparel with brighter hues. So this is the definition that was used by a French newspaper. So this is an interesting topic to discuss, especially for Muslim women. And yeah, I'm also going to read some other things that I have found in different magazines. So, newspapers, I'm sorry. So in CNN, it says the ban has its legal foundation in a law passed in 2004 forbidding the wearing of conspicuous religious symbols in French schools. By the way, this law was passed in 2004, and this is basically a law that bans the wearing of ostensibly religious symbols in schools. This includes the Islamic headscarf, or the hijab, as we refer to it, Jewish kippas, Sikh turbans, and large Christian crosses. So we all know probably that French government is generally obsessed with secularism. They believe that they shouldn't be able to tell a person's religious beliefs when they look to them. So also they use the term being neutral, as Sister Sarah will explain it as someone who lives in France. But yeah, this is the situation that we have, and today we're going to talk about this and the general impacts in Muslim Ummah and also the France and the French Muslims, the Muslims who are living in France. So now I'm going to pass it off to Sarah so that she can share her perspective with us. So yeah, Sarah, can you what do you have to say about this?
Thank you, Nadia. So yes, France is proud to be one of the first and leading democracies in the world. It is also a secular country, which means that the states of affair and the church are separated. We have no official state religion. And it is worth mentioning that there are only 3 secular states in Europe: France, Portugal, and Turkey, and also worldwide 10 secular countries. Even if democracy and secularism are not synonymous, in France they go hand to hand because France had to get rid of the monarchy that was at the time backed up by the Catholic Church before the French Revolution. In this battle with the Catholic Church, in 1905, France became secular, which assured the respect of all beliefs, the equality of all citizens before the law, regardless of religion, guaranteed freedom of worship, and the absence of official cults and salaried clergy, which means that if you work for the state or if you represent the state, you should not show your belief system. We should not know if you believe in God or not, what is your religion, even political views. Up until 2004, only adults that were working for the government and for the state were bound by that notion of neutrality. Now, they extended that to schools and to children, saying that children should not bring any religious or political sign inside the school, And this was meant specifically for Muslim women that were wearing the headscarf, saying that they should protect them from the influence of their parents. They wanted school to be that safe space where children can dissociate themselves from their parents' beliefs and make up their own mind about religion and politics. Okay, so moving forward to 2023, the narrative has completely changed and shifted from protecting those young innocent girls from their parents to saying that these girls were suspicious. They were extremists. They were pushing a political agenda. And this is quite tragic because the very idea of secularism is also to provide the possibility for any person to follow freely her or his religion. But now, when you follow your religion, you're suspected of wanting to push your religion forward to invade the public space.
Yeah, exactly. And so this video's title is This is the Liberty in France, with the French word, my French is not good, but liberté, I'm gonna say.
Yeah,
Um,
liberté.
yeah. So it's interesting. I mean, especially what I like to observe in this matter is the behavior of the feminists. It's really interesting to me because I'm actually going to share this anecdote because as I was making a research and as I was reading some of the interviews um, in several newspapers, it just reminded me of that. So I'm just going to read um, a interview that is an interview that belongs to a 10th grade student in France. So he says that most of the students at his school who wore a Muslim veil also wore an abaya outside school, including his sister, who had not wanted to come to class until his parents forced her. But he said French authorities should focus on improving material conditions in schools instead of policing clothing. So when I read policing clothing, it just reminded me of an incident that happened last year in Iran. So I'm sure you will probably remember the name Mahsa Amini. So this woman was killed in Iran, basically because she didn't wear the hijab properly. Now, this is a complete different topic to discuss, and obviously I do not support this. But when that happened, I just searched for what happened in France, how the feminists in France reacted to it. And this is a news thing that I got from France 24. It says this, I'm quoting, thousands of people marched in Paris on Sunday to condemn Iran's Islamic leadership in giant show of solidarity with the protests that erupted nationwide after the death of Mahsa Amini. So, I mean, it's interesting to see, the hypocrisy of the feminists have is really interesting and crazy to see. I mean, am I surprised? No, because we didn't really see a big reaction from feminists in 2003 when a lot of women got harmed by US soldiers in Iraq. We didn't see a crazy reaction when women were being tortured, killed, imprisoned, harmed in Afghanistan and Syria and Palestine and just Middle Eastern countries that apparently some Western countries really love to play with. And yeah, I mean, isn't this another my body, my choice incident for them? Or the question is, why isn't this another my body, my choice incident for them? Because, yeah, I mean, their body, their choice. They can wear whatever they want. But unfortunately, we don't see that reaction from the feminism. Uh,
Yeah, actually, there is a narrative that's going on in France that Muslim women are not free. They cannot be free. They are forced by men to follow this religion, to wear hijab, to wear those type of attires. So they have as keepers of liberty and freedom to protect us from that and to protect those little women that are harmed by their families. And they cannot understand it. And now that you have young women, the new generations of women going to school, going to university, having good jobs, and they're saying we want to wear hijab and we are free and we love our religion and we want to practice it, they cannot understand it. So now the narrative shifted from those little girls that were harmed and we needed to protect them to now those women are manipulated by Muslim associations, Muslim organizations, Islamists that want to invade and they want to impose Islam as a political view. And those women now it's becoming, they are harmful, they are attacking our society, they are attacking our values, our liberties, they want to impose things on us, and we cannot let them do that.
Yeah, before I pass it to Halima, when you said they want to impose and invade France with Islamic, ideology and all that just really got me laughing. I mean, it's hilarious, first of all. And I just want to clarify something. Um, Islam is not a political ideology. Islam is a lifestyle. Islam is a religion, and it's not something that is going to be imposed in any government in any sort of ideologically like dominated place. That's just something to clarify, and it really got me laughing. Okay, I'm gonna pass it to Halima so that she can also share her perspective.
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to add on to that, just to clarify once again, the abaya is not compulsory for Muslim women to wear. Personally, I don't wear an abaya. I believe neither does Nadia nor Sarah, but the point is, well, first of all, an abaya is not like a regulated sort of piece of clothing. It is sort of more, I guess you could say, cultural, because there are certain nations that adhere to wearing the abaya more than others. And so placing this ban, it doesn't exactly go against specifically Muslims or Islam. It goes against that sect of just, culturally influenced people who wear the abaya just, for other measures. And just to add on to this, of course, a lot of people talk about the fact that this is just in school, and they are kids anyways, and you know, this shouldn't be um, enforced on them anyways, or such and such. First of all, yeah, if we talk about school, it goes until high school. So basically until a kid is 18 years old. And Islamically, we believe that a woman can mature. Basically, a girl can become a woman, um, not necessarily at 18. It can happen before 18. Once there's a sign of puberty, then a girl is matured. And that also basically negates that fact, but also bringing the a conversation of consent, I don't exactly see how that applies to a piece of clothing. So, I feel like consent can go a lot of different ways, but I don't see how it necessarily applies to clothing, and I don't see how a person wearing clothing is forcing views on other people. So at least that's my take on it.
Yeah, and then that like consent topic of consent that just brings me to the something that we discussed like the before the recording. I mean, the Western countries are really willing to let kids uh, make big decisions on their bodies. I'm talking about some certain surgeries about the rainbow community. I'm not going to say anything further. But when it comes to the clothing and showing their faith and religious beliefs, it becomes a problem. And about the abaya, yes, it's not mandatory to wear the abaya. I mean, there are many ways that you can dress modestly. And like Halima said, I personally don't wear an abaya when I go out too. I wear loose fitted clothing, but like I said, I mean, there are plenty of options. Uh, there are kimonos, long dresses, which are not abayas. So, I mean, it's even like hilarious to me that we are even discussing this topic. It's just crazy. I don't get the Western mindset like in any sort of a thing, but especially when we're discussing these things and when these things become like headlines and newspapers and everything. It's just really hilarious. I don't know. I believe the world has bigger problems like that kid said, rather than focusing on the clothing, the policing the clothing. They should be improving material conditions of the schools and everything. Um, so yeah.
Yeah, exactly. This thing went as far as banning a girl from going to school. She never wore the hijab at all, but because she was wearing an ensemble, a top and a bottom, and it looked like a kimono. Actually, I think it was a kimono. She was banned from school, and her father went on TV and was protesting against it and saying that this cannot go that way because we're discriminating against women and especially against Arab women now. Because you look a certain way, you must be wearing clothes that are related to your religion. As you said, this is just a diversion to elude the real problems that are going on at school. For instance, a lot of students do not have enough teachers. They are missing a lot of hours of schools. The equipment is getting older. Instead of going to look at those specific problems, they're just giving the population something that they're going to talk about.
Yeah, and if you are unaware or if we haven't mentioned already, a kimono is a Japanese traditional wear. It is similar to a dress, so maybe we can add it in post, a picture if you're watching. But I don't believe it's really in any sense close to an abaya, specifically because usually it's open in the front and there is a belt that ties it or holds it together. But I think what this shows is the main issue that can stem from banning the abaya can be that it would be very difficult to reinforce it or police it, and this can result from many people who instead are wearing dresses or other loose clothing can also be basically sent home or policed for no reason. So that's also why it can be a problem. Also, based on things that I've checked, information that I've found, um, talking about the schooling system, it seems that since 2016, there have been multiple school system reforms in France of like changing specific education systems and trying to reinforce other things. Of course, that never included increasing the pay of teachers, but you know other things that basically did not work. Also, education ministers were also switched, and I believe currently France is at its third. And so this basically, what it shows is they're trying to basically push a specific sort of, I won't say agenda, but they want a specific sort of schooling method or education system. And until they get that sort of system, they are not willing to back down or even change specific, change people's jobs or change the system. So I don't think this is going to be the end of it, unfortunately. But yeah, at least that's been our takes on it. So yeah, what do you think, Nadia?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Like I expressed before, it's just, I mean, it's not even a problem normally. Like, everybody can wear whatever they want. And when it comes to the woke liberal women and them imposing their nakedness to children, it causes no problem. And feminists go up with an uprising, and then they say, like, oh, my body, my choice. I can do whatever I want. And it's just crazy. And also, I just wanted to add the madness of, this ideology that French government has that everybody should be neutral, that nobody should express their religious beliefs. This is just so twisted. And this makes no sense at all because this is just, trying to make everybody the same, standardizing ideologies, just everything. That's why we have problems like racism in the world. I also think that racism is such a silly topic to even discuss. It's like, what? Why do we even have that problem? I think that's called racism. That's another day's topic, but I just want to say that that idea that French government has, that ideology that everybody should be neutral. Nobody should be able to tell anybody's religious beliefs or political beliefs based on how they look. It's just, come on, man. I mean, diversity just brings more richness into societies, and it just makes the societies flourish and learn from each other. People learn from each other when they have diversity. And yeah. Also, I just see this Abaya ban as another way that the French government is trying to impose Islamophobic ideologies to other people, and it's just so twisted. I pray that they find the right path, and I pray to Allah that He guides them into the straight path of Islam, and that He keeps us steadfast, inshallah. So, if there is anything that you would like to add, please do so, and if not, uh, I think we can end it here.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, Haleema, do you have anything to add?
Um, I don't think so. I think we covered the basis of it, and the only thing I would say is if viewers are listening until this point, if you specifically who are listening have certain thoughts or questions or feelings, feel free to leave them down, and perhaps we can come back on this topic, or a similar topic, and keep this conversation going, because I think it's very important, specifically in countries like France, where the Muslim population is very high, but it's of course not a um, it's not the dominant, of the society, because of course there being bans there, or laws and rules, I think that can deeply affect such communities.
So before we finish, I want to touch on something. So normally this episode was supposed to be uploaded in 20 September 20. And so I was still editing when I saw this new. It's actually a very recent one, I have to say. And I will also put the picture whilst I'm speaking so you'll be able to see it yourself. So on 20 September 2023, King Charles and Queen Camilla of United Kingdom went to France to visit Macron and his wife. And what's really interesting about this visit is the clothing of Queen Camilla. So, France has very recently banned abaya, as you know, from the topic of this um, video. And this is the craziness. I mean, Queen Camilla literally wore an abaya to visit Macron and his wife. And yeah, I actually saw this from someone posting on their story. Shout out to Mufida, I guess that's her name. She shared it saying, you know, love the Abaya Habibti, where did you get it? I mean, isn't it interesting? Like it is so crazy. This is even more interesting than the behavior of feminists in this case. Queen Camilla wore a beautiful navy blue abaya. And yeah, this is just something that I wanted to share with you. I leave the comments to you. I would really appreciate it if you could um, drop some comments down below. And another thing to add about that night is the only people who were invited weren't the king and the queen of UK, also the richest man and his wife, and also his daughter and her husband. They were also invited to this visit. And the richest man in France, who is also the CEO and the chairman of LVMH luxury group in France, that includes Louis Vuitton and Dior. His wife actually wore like a beautiful green abaya, and his daughter wore something very similar to an abaya. And I mean, I'm just leaving the comments to you. This just shows the hypocrisy of France. That's all I have to say about this. Yeah, thank you both for sharing your perspectives, and I agree with Haleema that I think we covered the basis of the topic very nicely. And if anyone who is living in France, just like Sarah, has anything to say, please do so in the comment section. We always love interacting with you there. And just something that I want to add, if you see any feminist posting anything about this abaya ban with the sentence, my body, my choice, please do send it to me. I want to see it, but I bet you won't be able to find it. But anyway, yeah, so this was the episode about this is the Liberté in France, and it was very nice to talk to my co-hosts, and I loved hosting this episode as always. And yeah, thank you so much for listening. If you did make until this point, see you next time, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.